Welcome to House of Horns. My name is Victor Corona, aka Victor Producer, and joining me, as always, is Gilbert Manzano, Sports Illustrated staff writer. Gilbert, we have a big game to talk about on a short week. New Orleans Saints travel to Los Angeles SoFi Stadium to take on the 7-7 Rams. What are your first impressions of the fact that we have big games to talk about in week 16?
Yeah, was it a month ago? Maybe we were talking about, hey, what if Rams Saints gets flexed out? And I'm thinking, well, that's a game I want to go to. It's on a Thursday night. I have time because it's only one game. I could focus on the Rams for a day. They might get flexed out. They're 3-6. They lost to the Packers bye week. The Saints lost three in a row too. And then out of nowhere, both teams 7-7 fighting for a wild card spot. The Saints are fighting for the NFC South, the terrible NFC South, and the Rams could even move up to the sixth seed. So an exciting time here for the LA Rams.
Yeah, and as you talked about earlier too, you said, "Oh, maybe Rams and Saints is one of those games that gets flexed out of Thursday night, and we might not get a Thursday night. Who wants to see this game late in December? But now here we are. It's week 16, and both of these teams are trying to get into the playoffs. And as you talked about, I think it's been a whirlwind of a season for both of these teams. There's a couple of weeks ago we were talking about on the big show about whether or not Dennis Allen was going to be able to keep his job, and with where he has him at right now, he might be able to. And then going over to the Rams, this was supposed to be a gap year. This was supposed to be a season where they're clearing all this money to get ready for next season because that's when they're going to be able to get free agents. But they hit the lottery with the draft with their draft picks, and now here we are, both teams 7-7, as we said, and you got one team who is the number 7 seed right now, and the other team is the number 9 seed, I believe. Last I checked in the NFC playoff picture.
Yeah, and I'm glad this game is in prime time because the NFL world gets to see the Rams are different. Since that Bengals game, that was Monday Night Football, and I can't remember if Kyren played. Maybe he didn't by then. Let us know in the comments. I'm already blanking here. I see people already jumping on the live. Shout out to you and appreciate it. Give us your takeaways, your thoughts about this game. If you disagree with something, that's fine too. You agree with something, that's cool too. We do these shows on live now because we want to talk to the people here. So yeah, I can't remember the Bengals game. Kyren did not play, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did not play because that was a terrible game for the
He
Rams.
did play. He did play because I was doing some research on him today just to get ready for this show, and he did play early in the season. It wasn't one of those games where he went over 100 yards. They were trying to ease him in, and then next thing you know, they trade Cam Akers, and then he
Yeah.
he takes over as the main running back.
It was
So
wow, week 3. That's such a long time ago. So that was one of
yeah,
the rare games where the Rams offense did not click with Kyren. And week 4 was the Colts game. I remember that one for sure because that was when they really
yeah.
took off. Then he got hurt for that Cardinals game and it got really slow. So yeah, that's why the NFL season, it's long. People say it's quick because we have to wait, half the year for more football, but things change up and down. And again, I was surprised when I saw the Saints right there. They fell a little bit because the Seahawks won the game on Monday Night Football against the Eagles. So I think the Saints are now number 8, but they're tied with the Seahawks. Actually, number 9. So number 8 are the Seahawks, number 9 Saints. So all those teams are 7-7, and the Vikings are number 6 at 7-7. So a good time here and a good one to break down for a preview here.
Yeah, so if you're joining us, you're new here. We proceed here, Gilbert, we're up to 750 subscribers now. So just shout out to all the people that have been subscribing, that have been locked into everything that we're doing here on the House of Horns channel, Compas on the Beat. But this is our preview show for Rams, as we said, Rams and Saints. So we got a lot to get to. If you have any comments, go ahead and drop them. We'll have a engagement question for you guys soon from Gilbert, but I just want to go over what we have in store for you guys. Um, we have the latest news and notes, plus player matchups to watch, storylines for both teams, keys to the game, and our game predictions, Gilbert. But before we get started on all that, what can people check out around the Compas on the Beat network?
Yeah, check out everything we're doing on Compas on the Beat. Compas on the Beat. It's our I guess our main channel. We have, and then under that is House of Horns, where we talk all Rams, as people know here. And then we have What's Up Bolt for all things Chargers, and then we have even a Combat Compas channel where we talk combat sports. So, Combat Compas. And shout out to Alonso, always on time. I like that. But yeah, check out everything we're doing on the network here, and especially on Compas on the Beat. We have so much to offer there. It's just all NFL, and here we have a lot of Ram stuff. But it's been pretty cool. We go live on Mondays around 2:30, 2:15. Me and Fernando, and I see House of Horns people jumping in the comments. So that's pretty cool to see. And then on Wednesdays or Thursdays, we go back and forth. We do the Looking Ahead show where we also on live where we talk about the entire NFL. And this week we'll do the Looking Ahead show on Wednesday because on Thursday I'll be at SoFi Stadium. That's the plan. Hopefully nothing changes. It's rain out here. It got me worried, but yeah, you could drive in the rain, right? So
Yeah,
SoFi
yeah.
on Thursday, and we'll have a post game show out there. So look out for that. Maybe we'll try to do a preview show on Thursday. But I told Victor it gets a little noisy at SoFi Stadium, so we'll try our best there.
Yeah, and we might do a pregame show too. We were talking about it. We'll see if we can get access to Gilbert before the game, and then just if you guys want to flood the comments and ask him a question, that'd be great. But we'll see if we are able to get a hold of him on Thursday before the game. There, you want to answer Alonso Takanga's question here?
Well, I guess you can't answer it, Victor, because to let people know, Alonso and Victor and myself, we're all in the same fantasy football league, and I'm not even in the playoffs. But Victor and Alonso are in the semifinals, so yeah, why not have Cooper Cup in there? He's playing well lately. He's not playing the Commanders second there, where they don't even know how to talk to each other, or somebody's wide open for a 65-yard touchdown or whatever the heck it was. So, you got to deal with Tyrann Mathieu and the crew in the secondary over there. But this Saints defense is a little sus, as the kids say. I've just made myself feel old there. But we'll break it down right now on the Saints defense. But I think you should be okay with Cooper Cup. No offense to Victor. May the best person win.
Yeah, no, I mean he should have a good game. They're featuring him a lot more now. I think they've finally gotten things, especially since the bye week. I think things have kind of been working great for that offense, and we'll get into it, especially with some of the light boxes we're starting to see with Kyren Williams. It's opened up things for Cooper Cup and Puka Nakua. Especially the last two games, it's been more of a feature for Cooper Cup, and he's gone over 8 receptions and 100 yards. And then Puka Nakua is only averaging about 5 catches for about 50 yards. So
And
they're
real
start.
quick, Tyrann Mathieu, the Marshawn Lattimore, the best cornerback for the Saints on IR still. So you can't defend both guys, right? Puka and Cooper. So somebody have to lock in on those guys.
And we talked about Demarcus Robinson. That's a guy, if you have him
Another
in
one.
fantasy, and I pick him up because he's had a touchdown in the last 3 games. So if we're talking about fantasy, he's another guy to go and pick up. But all right, Gilbert, we have a couple more items to get to that we need to discuss here, and that has to do with uh, just a little promo here to get
Yeah.
the Compas to the Super Bowl radio roll. Even though we're going, but it's it costs some
Yeah.
money.
Yeah, still. But if you want to help out the network here, House of Horns, Combos on the Beat, uh, check out the link in the description. It's like a PayPal link for donations, and anything you could provide will go a long way for helping us, buy more equipment, housing to do interviews in person. We've done the Super Bowl radio roll the last couple of years. It's pretty cool to do it. For us to have these YouTube channels and get a spot for Super Bowl radio roll has been pretty cool. But we want to make the most of it. When we get out there, we want to, try to get Cooper Cup. We saw him out there last year in Phoenix, so maybe we'll get him in Las Vegas. Maybe Puka Nakua is out there. We'll mention Puka Nakua in a bit for the giveaway. But you want to help out the network, check out the link in the description. Or right now here, if you're watching live, there's like a super sticker, super like. I really don't know. I got to do my research, but a couple people, helped us out with some donation on the sticker live, whatever the heck it's called. And then we got a couple via the PayPal. Shout out to you. I don't know if you want me to mention the name, but much appreciated. We got it, and we love all the support.
Yeah, it's been awesome to see people helping out. But like I said, all we really ask of you is for you to subscribe. That's all we're asking for.
Yeah.
But if you want to go a step further and help us out, that's even more of an appreciation from you guys. All right, Gilbert. One last thing to take care of here, and it has to do with the Puka Nakua jersey giveaway. Go ahead and let the people know what they can do
Yeah.
to win a Puka Nakua jersey giveaway.
Yeah, last promo here. It's the Puka Nakua jersey giveaway. If you're familiar, what we've been doing with this all season long is we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We got to 750. So the faster we get to 1,000 subscribers, we'll give away this Puka Nakua jersey and whatever color you want. Whatever size. We're waiting to buy it because we know that's important for people. Make sure that it's a right fit. But like we mentioned, be a compa, tele compa. Get the link. Sure, if you're a Rams fan and you're not watching House of Horns, uh, send a link and tell them subscribe. But the main thing is to get an entry here, and there's people already with like 10 or 12 entries. So I can't wait to get this giveaway going. But uh, keep watching, keep doing what you're doing, watch the show, and eventually we're gonna give you keywords for the Puka Nakua jersey giveaway. I think last week was send Puka to the Pro Bowl, and people
Yes, sir.
commented. I saw it and I locked you in. You want 2 entries. Send me an email. You got the banner coming up right now. Victor, give me the
Mhm.
time that the keywords were revealed, and then also type it in the email and let me know what your username is for YouTube so I can keep track of everything. But it's Gilbert with the no at compasonthebeat.com or Gilberto at compasonthebeat.com. If you're on audio, much appreciated for listening, but get over to YouTube, comment, or give me the email too as well with the time and the keywords. That's it.
Yep, that's it. So there you go. You're all locked in. Go ahead and let us know what's up. Send in your stay locked in so you can get that keyword, and that way you can send it to us, and we'll lock you in for an entry there. All right, Gilbert. Let's get to our engagement question of the week. What is it? I kind of got this started. I posted something on the community, and I kind of wanted to know. I know we had a couple people comment about it, and I'll give you their comments, but go ahead and set it up for us.
Yeah, I thought it was a good question, and there's still 3 more games to go, so a little too soon. But it is the Rams' home finale, which feels a little early. But it is Week 16. So, with that in mind, you asked Victor, the people here, uh, who's the team defensive MVP? Obviously, you got Aaron Donald, but you suggested maybe Ernest Jones, which is not a bad pick. Maybe Witherspoon, the key free agent nobody's really talking about. Maybe a rookie like a Kobe Turner or Byron Young. So that is a question here. If you're watching live, get in the comments and let us know offensive, defensive team MVPs on the offensive side. Might be Kyren Williams in a runaway, but not really because you got Puka Nakua and you got Stafford who's been balling too. Cooper Cup, picking it up as well. Maybe it's an offensive lineman. Maybe you like Steve Avila, the rookie. Maybe you like Rob Havenstein. Let us know who's the offensive team MVP for the Rams and then also the defensive team MVP for the Rams. Get in the live chat right now. Let us know. Or maybe you're watching the replay and you want to comment. So there you go. That's the way to kick off this preview show.
Yeah, I had a couple. We had a couple of comments there where it said, "Well, did Aaron Donald leave this team?" And I'm like, "No, it's more like we understand. Like the stats aren't going to show the fact that he is the best player on that defense. No doubt about it. But I think what Ernest Jones has done, and I'll talk about it later on, I think has been really impressive. All right, Gilbert, let's get to our Rams and Saints news and notes plus injury report here for those who are locked in, wanting to know what's going on. So let me start off with running back Ronnie Rivers has been designated to return to practice per team after being on IR. So I forgot all about Ronnie Rivers, but he's back, Gilbert.
Yeah.
He's been a full participant in practice, so it sounds like he's going to get elevated, and that's a good problem to have 3 running backs ready to go. Against the Saints. As I've said before, whenever you have running backs that are fresh and ready to go, that always helps. So I wouldn't be surprised if they just throw him into the fire and help out Kyren Williams a little bit. He's been putting he's logged a lot of carries lately, Gilbert. So they might ease him back just to have him fresh as you make that playoff run.
Yeah, definitely. I know Royce Freeman is still out there, doing a decent job with Kyren Williams, but Kyren Williams has been the focal point of the offense. So, yeah, you want to make sure he's protected and healthy, and why not get Ronnie Rivers involved because he was actually pretty good. Like obviously he's not giving you like these big numbers, but reliable, able to move the chains when needed. Good for maybe I don't know if I should call him a good change of pace back. I don't know how much he offers in the passing game, but he's a little shifty. He could do a little bit of everything. Maybe he helps out on special team as well. Just Ronnie Rivers just has a knack for finding a way to contribute, regardless of what role he's in. And he has a pretty cool story. I covered the team closely last year for him to stick around on the practice squad, get called up during injuries, and just kind of making his presence be remembered. I think goes a long way, and he made the most of it earlier this year.
Yeah, it's good to see guys like that get rewarded, and it's good to have him back. He'll be a big, um, he's gonna help out a lot. I'm telling you, down the stretch, especially now that he's healthy. All right, couple more things, Gilbert, here that have to do with the on the injury front. Trey Tomlinson has a hamstring injury. He did not practice. Uh, Offensive lineman Joe Noteboom dealing with a foot injury. He did not practice, so it might be tough to see either one of those guys play on Thursday. And then full participants, you have Rob Havenstein with the groin. So he is McVay said, I think Monday or Sunday, that it sounded from what he said in his press conference like he's gonna play on Thursday. Tutu Atwell has also been a full participant after his concussion. And then we talked about Ronnie Rivers, and then cornerback or defensive back Akilo Witherspoon was dealing with a couple of injuries, but he's also a full participant. So, in terms of the injuries, I'm guessing as long as they have Rob Havenstein, they should
Yeah.
be good to go, right?
Yeah, the big key point is to have Rob Havenstein, not just for his play on the field, but to be a veteran, and hopefully maybe they have Noteboom too, who's been helpful inside or outside. I know he's up and down every now and then, but he's been playing well as well. So that's good to have Havenstein at least, but we'll see what happens with Noteboom. And then the good thing is with Tutu being cleared to play, like yeah, I know Robinson's been taking those number 3 targets there, but Tutu offers a lot when it comes to the vertical game, the jet sweep. So gives you another kind of a weapon to utilize when you're Sean McVay.
Yeah, especially since you've been using Puka a lot doing that. I think you kind of don't want to put him in harm's way. Not that you want to do the same with Tutu Atwell, but he just runs it a little bit better. So, and we saw Puka Nakua's speed there. He has good speed. So, but you rather just want him to run some of those routes in the passing game instead of running some of those jet sweeps. And then last thing I have for you, Gilbert, I know a lot of people have been asking us, hey, what are the chances? What happens if they win? So if the Rams beat the Saints, their chances of making the playoffs goes up to 67%. Right now, it's around 50% after the Seahawks beat the Eagles on Monday Night Football. So this, according to the New York Times playoff simulator, if they beat both the Saints and the Giants, it goes up to 91%.
Wow.
So yeah, so these are some huge games coming up for them, and I wanted to just kind of I just wanted to get your thoughts. Just we talked about it a little bit on the big show on Compas on the Beat, but let me give you the remaining. We know the Rams' remaining schedule. We know that uh, the Rams play the Saints at home, and then they go on the road against the Giants and 49ers. So let me just give you the rest of the remaining schedules for the other teams. The Vikings, who are the 6th seed right now, they host the Lions and the Packers, and then they're at the Lions to close out the season. Seahawks are at the Titans, host the Steelers, and then they're at the Cardinals. The Saints play at they're at the Rams, at the Buccaneers, and then finish up with the Falcons. And then the Buccaneers, I just put them in there because they're also 7-7. So they play the Jaguars this weekend. Then the big game is they host the Saints, and then they finish the season with the Panthers. So how are you seeing right now? If you had to kind of see how this playoff, who gets those last two spots? Where are you? How are you looking at this, Gilbert?
Well, there's a lot of pressure, like for the loser of this game, Saints Rams. Like you really hurt your playoff chances. But the good thing about the loser, is that the 6th seed is also pretty much up for grabs. So there's 2 spots available between 4 teams. So it doesn't, totally kill you, but you fall really behind between the Saints and the Rams here. And the Seahawks, once they won that game in Seattle, I don't think they're gonna lose a game. They're probably gonna win out, but you never know. Football is football, and it's strange. But they really needed that one. Like if they would have lost to the Eagles on Monday night, I'm like, that's it, Seattle. See you later. but they got new life, so that's going to be a little tricky too. But the Rams have the tiebreaker. That's key right there. Then you want the tiebreaker over the Saints too, in case you end the year, tied, and then they don't have it. You didn't mention the Packers. I guess we're kind of forgetting about the Packers. They don't have it with the Packers, but they're 6-8, and then the Vikings. I would not be surprised if they lose 2 out of 3 because you play the Lions twice and also a tough Packers team. So, they lost to the Bengals over the weekend. So the Vikings, got a little life from Nick Mullins in terms of the offensive play, but they're still when you play him, it's a lot of turnovers, and that's asking a lot for your team to come back from. So I can see one team, sliding a little similar to what the Vikings, I'm sorry, what the Packers have done in recent weeks here, but just win the game, and then you're sitting pretty and nice, and maybe you don't want to ease up a bit, but you feel a little better going into New York.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I think the if you win the next two games, that sets you up, good for the Rams, and I think you're just that way. If you take care of your business, and then also that the Seahawks beating the Eagles also helps the Rams, just in case the 49ers decide to sit everybody in the last game of the season, because they won't have to play. If they win now the next two games, they won't need to win the game against the Rams. Their number one seed will be locked up. So that's another thing to kind of consider. I know people, are like, yeah, maybe, they won't take us. They'll play everybody, but at the same time, like, how much rest do you want to
Yeah.
give yourself if you're the 49ers?
Yeah, and then but the bad thing about the Seahawks winning, like if they win out and the Rams, maybe lose one, maybe they because that'll be a 1 game lead for the Seahawks, and you don't need the tiebreaker doesn't matter. You fall behind, and you blow it to Seattle. So I guess you kind of get it there, where like maybe the Seahawks helped out the 49ers. Week 18 means nothing. The Rams, but maybe at this point it's like you want to face the best of the best, and maybe you want to go into the season. Okay, we went blow for blow against the Ravens, against the 49ers. Because remember, earlier in the year, Vic, they weren't doing that against the Bengals and the Eagles and against the 49ers. There was different levels to it. They weren't in the big boy league. And now the way they've been playing, what they did in Baltimore, I'm like, they can actually hang with any team right now, maybe outside of the 49ers, because they are on a different level. But the Eagles, Cowboys, Lions, I would not be surprised if the Rams are on that could push those teams. But maybe week 18, they play the 49ers and okay, here's our new group. Let's see what you got. And they push them. Confidence. Everything just changes your mindset. You feel like you got hope. But the trouble is like, maybe you lose and you get knocked out of the playoffs, or maybe you play well and you get a key injury. So it's all tricky. But these are all things that we're kind of. That's why we want to watch the games, because you never know what happens in the weeks coming ahead.
Yeah, and the thing that I always have been thinking about lately, just with the way the NFC has kind of come crashing down outside of the 49ers, is I just don't see any other team being able to beat the 49ers outside the Rams. The Rams actually match up well, as we talked about, and I think one of those measuring sticks, if the Rams do measure up well, will be that week 18 game. Not only that, but this game coming up for the Ravens against the 49ers, we'll see where they are, because if the 49ers blow out the Ravens, then it's going to be like, well, maybe nobody does, but I want to see that game. You're right. I'm with you. I hope that the Rams win the next two games, and then that sets up week 18, where they're both playing at full strength, and we kind of see where both teams are at, and the 49ers don't decide to rest their players. But we'll talk about that then. We're here to talk about week 16 between the Rams and the Saints, Gilbert. Let's get started with let's go over to storylines for both of these teams. Let's start off with the Saints. Where are you starting off with storylines for the Saints?
Yeah, they're a strange team. Like they've handled business the last 2 weeks, but they played the Panthers and the Giants, and yeah, that's cool, big whoop, and you're back to 700. But before that, they lost 3 consecutive games to the Falcons, the Vikings, and the Lions. So this team, it feels like they're better against the bad teams, and they tend to lose against the good teams. And right now, the Rams are a good team, but the Saints are talented. It's just like they keep having they can't get on the same page with Derek Carr when they play the good teams, and it's Derek Carr's frustrated. He's yelling at Chris Olave, yelling at one of the linemen. It's been a rocky year, but obviously playing the Panthers and the Giants the last 2 weeks has kind of made people forget about that, or maybe it makes the Saints feel good about what they have. So, uh, yeah, Kamara's still doing well. I think he's still the key for them. He's an older running back now, but he's still playing well. They got the something tricky with Taysom Hill to worry about. Chris Olave in the vertical game. You better keep tabs on him. And Derek Carr, for all his faults, he has days where he gets hot. So you got to be worried about that. But there's days where he kills his team with a bad interception. So it's a mixed bag with the Saints. And then the Saints defense actually started off pretty well. I like their defense, and they got old pretty fast, and they got the injury to Marshawn Lattimore again, the cornerback, who's a stud cornerback. And you got to worry about Puka and Cooper Cup. So that could be an issue. Tyrann Mathieu and the safety is doing well, but he's an older player. Their run defense is not the best. They got really exposed by the Lions a few weeks ago, but then again, the Lions have Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery, but the Rams have Kyren Williams. So you could definitely run on the Saints there. So on paper, talented, but they're an older squad. They're still trying to figure out with Derek Carr. And Dennis Allen, you never know what the coaching that he'll provide. But they're 7-7. They're handling business, and at this time of year, they're not playing as well as the Rams, but you're in the race, and that gives you, a mental boost to say, hey, you know what? Who cares what happened in the first 14 games of the year? Let's go win this one in LA. So they could be dangerous too.
Yeah, for me, it's always been these two. The Rams and the Saints have been on similar paths.
Yeah.
They've been trading. They've been trying to get to the point where they can win a Super Bowl. The Rams did it. They went all in, and the Saints have been all in for about a decade now, Gilbert. And now Sean Payton's gone, but yet they go back out. Like the Rams decided, you know what? We're gonna take a gap year. We're gonna, reset, try to get our cap situation right. The Saints are like, nope. We're gonna continue to push our chips to the front of the table. We want to win a Super Bowl, which I totally understand, and they continue to be way over the cap. I didn't understand why they went in all in on Derek Carr. They paid him all that money, and 3 games ago, everybody was like, "Now you're stuck with that contract. Now you're 7-7," and people are like, "Well, let's see what happens now with Derek Carr the next couple of seasons with the Saints." As you talked about, this is an older roster. Defensively, Dennis Allen has done a great job. With this older roster, kind of having an infusion of young players and older players, but they continue to get hurt. And then eventually, you have to pay that toll, Gilbert. As we always said, like the credit card limit. Eventually you have to pay that, and they haven't been able to. They refuse to do that, and so that's the main thing here. Is part of the reason why they've kind of struggled is that they don't have any depth. They're still having to rely on older players, and eventually you're gonna have to pay. And now you have Derek Carr, who it doesn't, as you pointed out, a lot of those players on offense, those young players like Chris Olave, just aren't vibing with him, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens, especially as I said, with Dennis Allen, is he going to keep his job? Like he's on the hot seat. Him and Arthur Smith are two guys that you kind of have to look at the rest of the season, because if those both of those guys don't make the playoffs, uh, it'll be interesting to see if they end up getting fired. But yeah, it's a tough thing with the Saints. I mean, if you're Dennis Allen, you need to win out, or else I think they're going to move on from him.
Here's the best way to summarize the Derek Carr experience. When they're added more snaps to Taysom Hill's play as a quarterback, receiver, running back, whatever it is, they play better. Like he helps them in the red zone, and just imagine Stafford leaving the field for a tight end, whatever you want to call Taysom Hill. Imagine Patrick Mahomes leaving the field or Joe Burrow leaving the field. Like Derek Carr is not on that level of those quarterbacks, like because you wouldn't take off those quarterbacks for a gadget player. So Taysom Hill helps. At first, it was a little complicated. It was definitely complicated the last few years when it was Jameis Winston and Andy Dalton. They couldn't figure it out. So at least Derek Carr makes it work. That's a credit to him. The more weapons, the better. But you kind of need that boost to help out Derek Carr, because sometimes he does get in trouble. Either he's playing too safe or he's getting a little too reckless. And yeah, I don't get it with the Saints continue to be all in. I get they're in an easier division than NFC South. Yeah, you can make it. Maybe you get an easier path to make the playoffs, get to host a playoff game, but you're not going to do anything past that. You won't beat the Cowboys or the Eagles. You won't beat the 49ers. So, or even the Detroit Lions. So, I get it. Get a nice little playoff experience. And those Saints fans in New Orleans are diehard. They deserve a winner. But even those same fans are getting frustrated with Derek Carr. And then you got to pay him money too. So you still owe him another $30 million next year. Like, what do you do? Do you just sit him for another year? You go find another quarterback in the draft? So maybe they're kind of just stuck for another year, and maybe it was always a 2-year plan. But I don't know. Eventually, you got to get younger, rebuild this team, pay the debt. And for the Rams, it worked out. They're paying the debt. They didn't spend money. They had to let go a lot of veterans, but they hit on the draft. You got to hit in your draft. And I always remember the 2017 draft class for the Saints, but that changed their fortune. They gave Drew Brees and Sean Payton one more run for a new core group because they got Alvin Kamara, they got Marshawn Lattimore, guys like that. So those are game changing drafts. So the Rams did it. Maybe the Saints would do that again for next year.
Yeah, and then the thing too, remember Gilbert, they traded away. I think they traded away. Was it the number one pick for Chris Olave, which then the Eagles? I'm pretty. Correct me if I'm wrong. The Eagles used on the defensive lineman from Georgia for the number 10 pick.
Yeah, I think
In
you're
my
right.
yeah yeah. So that's another thing too. You're also trading away your assets, which makes no sense to me. But like with the Saints, we'll see what happens. As you said, maybe it's the fact that they're in a terrible division and they know they can stay relevant and you just don't want to rebuild if you're in New Orleans. I understand that because as you pointed out, they're diehards. Like they're one of the best fan bases out there. And yeah, they deserve a winner. It's just you're having to rely on Derek Carr. And one of the problems with Derek Carr is he's terrible in the red zone. And it'll be something that we'll talk about. I think for the Rams to win this game, it's gonna come down and to limiting the Derek Carr in the red zone, and we've seen how good Raheem Morris's defense has been in the red zone. They've been really good, so I think that's where this game is going to come down to, and we'll get into it in keys to the game. But yeah, it's a lot to kind of you know uh, talk about in terms of the Saints because they've had a lot of ups and downs, and you would have thought that by now they would have, hit the reset button, but they refuse to do it. And I'm now with that contract that they have with Derek Carr, I just don't see them doing it next year unless they decide finally to just fight. They end up firing Dennis Allen, and they just say, you know what, let's reboot this. That's the only way it happens.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see. I'm not a big believer in the Saints, but maybe they'll prove me wrong in LA. I'll get to see them up close and personal, but older roster, bad salary cap, so quarterback, so coach. So yeah, we'll see what they have on Thursday.
All right, moving over to the Rams. I just want to. I'm gonna kind of take a wild swing here, Gilbert, and I know a lot of people are gonna be like, "What are you talking about?" But Kyren Williams is to the Rams offense what Christian McCaffrey is to the 49ers and that Shanahan offense. And honestly, the fact that you have someone like Kyren Williams, you didn't have to go and trade a second and a fifth for him, and you have him on a rookie contract is just great for the Rams. And I'm going to give you just a comparison here of the last 5 games and what Kyren Williams has done. In the last 5 games, Gilbert, he's carried the ball 109 times for 655 yards. That's a 6.2 average. So he has three touchdowns on the ground, 17 receptions, 87 yards for 2 touchdowns. Now, let me give you Christian McCaffrey stats in that same period of time. McCaffrey has 91 carries for 545 yards. That's a 6.1 average. He has 4 touchdowns. He also has 19 receptions for 170 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, if you were just looking at this blankly and I didn't give you the names, you'd say, "Wow, these players are pretty similar," without me telling you who they are. And honestly, watching both players because I have Christian McCaffrey on my fantasy team, so I get to watch a lot of his games. And same thing with Kyren Williams. In both the Sean McVay offense and the Shanahan offense, they're perfect for what they do. And the fact that you have Kyren Williams on a rookie contract is just, a really cool thing. And then one thing that I'll bring back, Gilbert, that I brought up during the post game show is that Williams has faced a light box on 21 of 27 carries against the Commanders, which he gained 121 yards on those attempts. He's also gained a league high 660 yards rushing against light boxes this season, 79 more than the next. So, I mean, this has also just tells you how well he fits into the Sean McVay offense. And we've kind of seen some of those similarities between these two offenses. We know that Shanahan and McVay run a lot of the same concept, might be a little bit different, but I know that you're talking about 11 personnel versus what Shanahan runs. But the running back is a big key, and we've seen it with Todd Gurley. We've started to hear the comparisons about how Kyren Williams reminds a lot of people of Todd Gurley. I don't think it's that. It's the fact that you have a versatile running back who can not only rush the ball, but also catch the ball out of the backfield. One last thing, Gilbert, I'll mention is the Rams are 4-1 with when Kyren Williams carries the ball over 20 times and rushes for more than 100 yards. The only loss was to the Ravens, and that was in overtime.
You know what? Good stats by you. So I'll just go ahead and drop the keywords right here because it involves Kyren Williams for the Puka Nakua jersey giveaway. So right here, kind of similar to last week. Send Kyren to the Pro Bowl. Just comment under the video or here in the live chat. We got some people who are quiet today, but that's okay too. But if you want to get an entry for the Puka Nakua jersey giveaway, just type it in the chat or under the video. Send Kyren to the Pro Bowl. If you want an extra entry to this jersey giveaway, send me an email, Gilbert with the no at compasonthebeat.com, Gilberto at compasonthebeat.com. Give me the time. You see right here the time, or also give me the keyword. Send Kyren to the Pro Bowl. There you have it. So you want to get the Puka Nakua jersey, type in those keywords. And going off of that, Victor, like I checked earlier, he's like top 5 in rushing yards, Kyren Williams, and to miss 4 or 5 games, that tells you a lot about his production there. And there was a few games early on where that Bengals game or that Eagles game and that 49ers game, he wasn't doing too much. So when he figured it out, Indianapolis maybe, or even week 1, he was pretty good against Seattle. But he really picked it up, Indianapolis, playing the Cardinals. Then he got hurt. He came back. He didn't miss a beat. So maybe he did his homework, watch on the tablet and came back and doing his thing there. So yeah, the Todd Gurley comparison, I could see it, but obviously Todd Gurley was much bigger than Kyren Williams. And then it's just impressive how they tweaked the scheme to be more of a in between tackles, and he's not a big dude, and he's still getting these extra yards. So that to me shows that Kyren is versatile, also getting receptions out of the backfield. Could help you out in a zone scheme, gap scheme, pass threat, whatever it is, pass protector. He's doing everything. So it's not far-fetched to say like he's doing what CMC is doing for the 49ers. Obviously, different levels there. CMC might be the MVP. But Kyren, send him to the Pro Bowl. He's done his job.
Yeah, and I'm with you. For me, just for one, we've seen, we got some Saints in the Turbo Duran, go
Shout out to
Saints.
you, Turbo.
Hey, thanks for checking us out. We appreciate it. But yeah, in terms of Kyren Williams, he's just been, the last 5 games when he got hurt against the Cardinals, and then we said, well, maybe it's just against the Cardinals. It's no longer the case, Gilbert. We're seeing now that he's doing it against good competition. When you are going up against teams like the Browns, the Ravens, and you continue to be good. Like we even saw talking about fans from other teams. We saw fans from the Ravens in the post game show saying like, "Hey, we didn't know you guys. The Rams were this good. Now we have shown them we have respect for that team because they put it on us, and they probably have given the Ravens the best game they've had. I know they've lost 3 games, but that was more of a lapse than anything.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, like you mentioned with these stats about the light boxes or stack boxes, like when's there gonna be a team that flips it and says, okay, let's go and stack the box here, but then you get burned by Stafford and Puka and Cooper Cup, but and Higby. So, but I think this team is feeding off of Kyren, and I think everybody else will tell you that. I think even McVay has mentioned like, yeah, we're a different team when he's on the field. So, that's credit to the less needs scouting department and get him in the fifth round out of Notre Dame and Puka too in the fifth round out of BYU. So they're doing well, and I just it's been cool to watch McVay evolve with this team, with the injuries, with the youth, with the opponent. Like that was a tough schedule at first. We kept talking about the first 5 games, and they made it through that. Then the injuries, they made it through that. Now it's all coming together, and people found out in that Baltimore game, and I think in the Commanders game, they did their job. Like for a young team, yeah, you wish you would have ended it with like a 14-point game or a 20-point blowout, but they handled the business. They're here on Thursday night on a short week, and maybe that could pay off for a young roster against a veteran roster that doesn't need to travel in the Rams. That could maybe make the difference here for Thursday night.
Especially playing at home. I think that's huge for the Rams. And then the last thing I was gonna say, the one team that tried taking him away with stacking the box was the Browns, and he still rushed for 88 yards. So, I mean, and then that was a game that both Puka and Cooper Cup went over 100 yards. So that's you got to pick your poison here. Who are you going to try to take away? If you try to take away Kyren Williams, that means Puka Nakua and Cooper Cup are going to go off, and then vice versa. If you try to take away one of those two receivers, guess what? You have Demarcus Robinson now, and then also Kyren Williams. So it's fascinating to see how this game's going to go. So let's get to our Rams and Saints player matchups, Gilbert. I'll let you start here.
Yeah, I think I had. Yeah, you know what? You've been showing love to him, but I'll go with the cornerback Witherspoon. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. He's got to be the number one corner for this team right now. I know, Kobe Durant and Deion Kendrick, they're young and they're up and down, but he's been steady. And then you got to worry about Chris Olave. So if you take him away, the vertical threat, the explosive plays, then you kind of make Derek Carr a dink and dunk kind of quarterback. Go to Taysom Hill a little more. Go to Alvin Kamara with the checkdowns, man. He loves that. So, force him to do that more. Kamara's still dangerous in space. You got to account for that. But you take away a lot of it, you're taking a lot of their explosive game away. So Witherspoon's been doing his job, getting a couple takeaways, locking in on players. It's still a young secondary, but the Raheem Morris scheme has been working, so far. I know it's a little frustrating because people want to see more blitzes, but for his young roster, they're just trying to learn the fundamentals. Like that's been a pretty nice scheme for them to learn as the season goes by. But Witherspoon's a veteran, and let's see what he does with Olave.
Yeah, I like that pick. I mean, he's got 3 interceptions. He's been really good at locking up the number one receivers. Last week, he did a really good job when he was on Terry McLaurin, and then for some reason they switched Darion Kendrick on
Yeah,
Terry McLaurin, and Terry McLaurin just took him task there. Like he put a couple of moves on him, and he blew right by him. So as long as you have Witherspoon out there, you put him on a lobby, you should be good. I don't see, he's been solid the whole season, whether it's been DK Metcalf, any other guy that he puts on, he goes up against, he's been really good. It's when they switch him over where when you put one of those young guys, either Kobe Durant or Darion Kendrick, and that's when you get in trouble if you're the Rams. Mine, Gilbert, is Ernest Jones, as why we talked about against Alvin Kamara and Tyson Hill. Ernest Jones has 125 tackles this season
wow.
and 3.5 sacks. He's been the one that has put on pressure. When you do see some pressure from that defense, it comes in a blitz from Ernest Jones, and he's been able to get. He'll miss a couple of times on those pressures, but they've been effective. They've caused a couple of bad throws from either Lamar Jackson, as we've seen, Joe Flacco the last couple of games. But I just want to say against Alvin Kamara, as you talked about earlier, you, Alvin Kamara has 68 receptions for 446 yards, and he's got 161 carries for 630 yards. The big thing was he's got 68 receptions. He's Derek Carr. He loves to dink and dunk, and he's gonna get the ball to Alvin Kamara. So the fact that he missed 4 games, if I'm not mistaken, Kamara did,
Yeah,
and he
suspended.
still has 68 receptions. that tells you where a lot of their production comes from. And then Tyson Hill, 71 carries for 343 yards. You know what you're going to get. You're going to get a bunch of gadget stuff. And this is where Ernest Jones comes into play. I think he's going to be a big key here. And I just love the fact that he's been able to step in for Bobby Wagner. You know, a lot last season. I was watching some videos of some of the previews that we did last season, and we talked about Bobby Wagner and how he was the heart and soul once everybody got hurt. He was the guy who was leading this team, you know, trying to get them to the end of the season, and his leadership really showed. And I think having Ernest Jones just step into that Mike linebacker and just, you know, be solid, not just like average, but be solid and be able to lead this team has been really impressive. And you talked to him, you had a story about him and the fact that, hey, he knew what, you know, he hated not being able to help the Rams last season, but he took a lot of that wisdom that he got from Bobby Wagner.
Yeah, he's definitely done his part. You mentioned the stats there, and then you could just by watching a Rams game, you could tell he's all over the place. He's vital in the run defense. Doing well as a coverage man too. So he's just vital to have in the middle of a defense. And then I wanted to just to check to see how where your rates on Pro Football Focus. Even that's pretty nice, 76.6. I think I saw he ranks 19th out of 80 linebackers who qualify. So not bad, and he's second, by the way, on the defensive side to on the Pro Football Focus defensive grades, and obviously number one, Aaron Donald, but kind of a down year for Aaron Donald because he's not in the 90s, 87, no 89, pretty close, 89.7. So for his lofty standards, not over the 90s, but number two, definitely Ernest Jones, and it's such a rebuild. I guess I could say that we're rebuild or retooled year for the defense. So many young guys, and it was Aaron Donald and a bunch of dudes. I'm like, no, Aaron Donald and Ernest Jones and even Jordan Fuller. Like, there's still three guys who have plenty of experience starting there. So analytics numbers support him playing well. The regular stats like 125 total tackles say he's playing well and just passes the eye test. He's all over the place. So talk to anybody on his team, they'll tell you he was ready for that moment when Bobby Wagner left, and he stepped up. So he's doing well.
Yeah, and it's good to see. I know not a lot of people are gonna talk about it just because, hey, it's you got Aaron Donald on this team, and you know we mentioned two guys that not a lot of people are gonna talk about, and that's Akilo Witherspoon and Ernest Jones. I mean, we can keep saying we can talk about the big names, but you know these guys deserve a lot of credit for what they've done, and they're a big part of the reason why the Rams are 7-7 and are in the playoff run right now, or are trying to get into the playoffs. All right, Gilbert, keys to the game. What is it going to take for the Rams to beat the Saints here?
You know what? Yeah, let's go back to the defense there, and we've been focusing on the defense, and yeah, they do okay with the takeaways, but they're by far, not the best team when it comes to that. They're somewhere in the lower half for takeaways. Derek Carr sometimes gives you a lollipop, and you better take it. I remember the Derek Carr pick six against the Lions, I think it was, and it just changed
Against
the
the
outcome of.
Falcons,
Well, it's the
against the
Falcons.
Falcons.
You're probably right. Or there's a bunch of games. I mean, I think it was more of the Falcons I was thinking, but
Yeah.
that really changed the outcome of the game. Like, if you get a pick six early on, and maybe a team is driving, and it's like a 7 point swing, 10 point swing. So yeah, maybe take advantage of that. Especially he was trying to push the ball down the field. Olave force something there, get him frustrated. Uh, he tends to play it safe a lot too with Kamara and his tight ends there, but there's times he gets a little risky and goes downfield to Olave because maybe they're stuck at 3 points. It's like, okay, F it. We got to go down there. Be ready for that mistake. And, sometimes it's not even on Derek Carr. Just kind of, you're playing great coverage or you make a good play. So go change the outcome there, especially a game so important for your playoff hopes there. Prime time football Thursday night. The last time we saw the Rams was that boring Bengals game when it comes to Monday Night Football. So it's a different team, Victor, from when they played the Seahawks week one, they played the 49ers week two, the Bengals week three. I want to say the Eagles like week five, the Colts week four. So they made it through that. But now, now that you're going back to some tough teams, show how different you are from the start of the season. And maybe this defense finally gets some love in prime time.
Yeah, I mean, And we talked about this is only their second primetime game of the season. I'm sure next season is going to go up to 4 or 5, depending on how they finish up here. But now that Sean McVay's he's got this offense humming, and that's where I'm going to go with the offense. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I've been saying this for a couple of weeks now, and I'm not going to change it. I mean, yeah, they only scored 28 points last week against a bad Commanders defense, but Kyren Williams put the ball on the ground twice, and that could have probably been 35, 42 points, depending on what the Rams do. But they've been averaging about 30 points against really good defenses, whether it's been the Browns or the Ravens. We've seen that. So I continue to feature the run with Kyren Williams, and then in the passing game, feature Puka Nakua and Cooper Cup, because that's the way you're going to win these games. We know what you're getting out of that defense, as you just talked about, what you laid out. You need the offense to continue to score points. If you continue to score over 30 points, you're gonna have you're gonna be in position to win games. So I just for me is don't fix what isn't broke, and just continue to do what you're doing on offense with Sean McVay. Yeah, uh his game management needs a little help there at the end of the games, but otherwise he's been doing good. They're producing over 30 points, Gilbert.
Yeah, and I go back to the Saints run defense is not good. Like I know we've kind of forgot about them because they played the Panthers and the Giants the last 2 weeks, but before that, look at the numbers. They were allowing consistently, running backs to get over 80 to 100 yards. They have a young interior defensive line. They drafted a guy in the first round out of Clemson. I'm blanking on his name. They got Cam Jordan, but older too. So they got some old edge rushers as well. The Demario Davis, older linebacker. So you could definitely run on them. So keep doing what you're doing and don't go away from the running game. But I think by now Sean McVay knows that Kyren Williams needs to eat.
Yeah, and I mean, and I know we'll get to it in the next couple of weeks, but Matthew Stafford, I mean, he's been on an MVP run the last couple of weeks since he came back from the bye week as well. I mean, he's putting up stats, especially with all the injured quarterbacks that we've seen go down this season. I mean, his stats the last five games or so have been really impressive. And so, if he continues on this path, it looks good for the Rams to make the playoffs.
Yeah, no, definitely. So get this big game on Thursday. What we got next, Vic?
We got our betting spotlight. The Rams are 4-point favorites, as we talked about on the post game shown against the Commanders. The line opened up at 3.5. It's been betted up to 4, and the over under is 44.5, which I was kind of surprised to see it that a little. It went down 5 points from what we saw against the Commanders. So what's the right side of this line, Gilbert?
Yeah, I'm still mad I couldn't get the over last week because it was like
Half
50
of
or 49,
No,
but
it was 48.5. We missed it by half.
oh really? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I knew we missed it, but I thought it was like 49.5 or something. Yeah, and they got 48. Uh but they shouldn't even gotten that close because the Commanders added two touchdowns at the end there. So uh I wanted to get the over, but you know what? I think over is the right line. Like, and also especially after what happened last Thursday night, it was 63-21. And even the week before that, when they were making fun of the Steelers and the Patriots getting the 30 total, they went over that too. So you know what? Uh, 44 seems pretty low for these two teams here. I could definitely see maybe two teams where either they're in the low 30s or the high 20s. Like both of them are capable of scoring points too. So uh, definitely go with the over, and then on the 4 seems a little too high for me. Yeah, I know I've been critical of the Saints today, but I think they're still a good team to push the Rams. So that to me is a little dangerous if you're trying to take the Rams -4.
Yeah, I'm with you. If this game was Rams plus was -3, I would have taken it, but I'm not. The Saints are gonna keep this game close, and we'll talk about it next. But yeah, I like the Saints to kind of keep it close in this. I wouldn't bet the Rams. If it goes down to 3, then maybe, but I'm not trying to mess with that. That's a little too risky for me if I'm trying to bet this game. All right, Gilbert, let's get to our Rams and Saints game prediction. Uh 7-7 Rams against the 7-7 Saints. What do you got?
Yeah, and if you're watching, let us know your game prediction, your final score of the Rams versus Saints. And like I mentioned, high scoring. So I'm gonna go that way, and I'll go 30 for the Rams and 27 for the Saints. I think the Rams get it done. Won't be easy because again they're young, they're inexperienced, and the veteran team with the Saints, they know how to play in these primetime games. They know how to close out games, or they know how to rally too. But I think in terms of being at home, having the better offense and better coaching, the better quarterback, I think that's all going to outweigh at the end and help out the Rams. And but again, it won't be easy. So give me the Rams to win and the Saints to cover.
Yeah, I'm going with the Rams, of course, but I'm saying 27-24. I think it's a 3-point game. The Rams pull out the win. They hold on. I just like what the Rams are doing right now. As I said, they've been scoring points. I just don't know about the Saints, and I think they'll keep it close just with the way Derek Carr plays, especially in prime time. He has his moments where he's really good in prime time. So I think this is going to be a back and forth game, and I think the Rams hold on late, 27-24.
Yeah, I know you mentioned the rivalry between the Saints and the Rams. It feels a little different with a new quarterback or different quarterback and a different coach from the Champagne Drew Brees. But there's a little revenge factor here for Derek Carr. He's the one that lost to the Rams on Thursday Night Football last year.
Yep.
98 yards for Baker Mayfield going downfield. They blew that one. They're probably sick to their stomach to that one for that one. So I'm sure Foster Moreau, right, probably was on that team. So there's a couple former Raiders there that remember that Thursday game between the Raiders and the Rams. So maybe they want some revenge on that one.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they were up, I think 16-3 or something, and then the Rams came back and beat them. So, but that's a different team, I'm sure. But Derek Carr is, knowing him, he's gonna say that was a motivation after the
Yeah,
game.
you will.
Kind of like what we saw with Jake Browning. He's like, "Yeah, we lost here last year, and so that was a motivation for me." So, you know how Derek Carr does these kind of things, but I'm honestly, one of the things to keep in kind of keep an eye on is I wonder how long Saint fans will put up with his shenanigans the rest of the season, and if
They,
they're eh,
they've been frustrated already. Maybe Turbo could let us know how it is, but
yeah.
they don't seem too happy right now with Derek Carr. But they won the last two, so the noise has been quiet.
Yeah, and I mean they're 7-7 now, and so this sets up a great matchup. We can't wait to watch it. Gilbert's going to be there on Thursday night. He's going to be in SoFi, and we're hoping to see if we can get him before the game. Kind of do a little House of Horns pregame show. Uh, get a couple of minutes with Gilbert, depending if he can find a quiet spot there to be able to talk to us and take some questions for you guys. So if you guys have any questions, let us know. We'll get them to Gilbert so that way we can answer them before the game. But we'll do the post game show. We'll be on live. It'll be a couple of hours after the game, not our usual 30 minutes after, just because Gilbert's got some interviews to get from the locker room. But we'll be on. Stay tuned. We'll put up the time and just stay locked on. If you have any questions, you can hop on here, leave a question for us, and we'll answer it in the post game show.
Yeah, it's gonna be a chaotic Thursday, but can't wait to see everybody then. Maybe it's a good day for Rams fans, and if not, maybe it's a close game, and you want to come talk about the game, we'll be here post game, and just see we'll come on before too if you wanna chat too before then. But yeah, we can't wait for Thursday.
All right, Gilbert, that's all I have. I think we pretty much exhausted everything that we could talk about to preview this matchup. Can't wait, like I said, for this game. It'll be interesting to see how these two teams battle against each other. I mean, you have, two teams kind of got here a 7-7 in different ways, but now we're here and we can't wait to watch this because it went from before the season, why did they put this game on Thursday night? To now, it's like it's probably one of the best matchups on Thursday night this season.
Yeah, and if you want to talk more about this game and you couldn't make the live today, we're gonna be on tomorrow for the Looking Ahead show where we talk a little bit of everything from NFL Week 16. We'll definitely touch on Rams a little bit, and you seem like we're talking too much about Ravens 49ers, and you say, hey, what about the Rams? Drop a comment too on the live, and we'll answer a question or take away your takeaway. take away your takeaway, and then definitely break it down and talk about it. So join us tomorrow, Wednesday evening. We got to figure out the time, maybe around this time, maybe 6 p.m., something like that. Earlier the better, but we'll figure it out. Just check out the channel. It's gonna be on Compas. It's gonna be here, House of Horns, What's Up, Bows, things like that. And again, you want to help out the network and help us grow. Check out the link in the description for the PayPal link for donations, or give a super sticker when we go live, and help us get to Super Bowl Radio Road to buy equipment, housing, create content in person, do interviews, do more things like this. And also, if you want to enter for the Puka Nakua jersey giveaway, rewind and get those keywords and then comment, and I'll lock you in for an entry. And the faster we get to 1,000, the faster we'll give away this jersey. Hey, but maybe we should take our time because getting a jersey in December might be a little pricey.
Yeah, and honestly, like we can't wait to give away this jersey. Like, we're only about 250 subs away. It's been awesome to see the last couple months how much people have been, liking the content, and honestly, we enjoy it. We've gotten to know a lot of the different subscribers, and in the comments today, it's kind of quiet, but I'm sure, if they win and against the Saints, we're going to get even more comments and more people are going to be in here talking, and we can't wait. We love doing this, so it's awesome to see it. Unfortunately tonight it was a little quiet, and we understand, but don't be shy. We'll always get to your comments. Even we even got one in from the Saints, so
Yeah.
there you go.
But yeah, maybe it's the rain that has people kind of quiet right now. But if you're living out here in Southern California, but let's get ready for Thursday night football. It's a short week, so that means it's going to be a grind to get to Thursday. But there you go. We had a preview. Check it out, and appreciate those that watched. And it was a good crowd, and maybe not the most talkative, but I saw people watching, so that's pretty cool. But on that note, let's get on to Week 16 Thursday. The Rams and the Saints kick off a very important week in the NFL in terms of playoff implications. But on that note, ya nos vamos, pues vámonos.